Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is just, if you're on your mobile, like, I can't see how long it is. If it tells you with Joe beforehand, like, this is a minute or something.
It's definitely more. It's definitely more commitment to watch the videos than it is to just spread to page.
Just show the face, I don't like it.
Hi. Hi. Hello. My name is Lewis. I do two things. During the day, I'm a digital marketer. I'm basically like Don Draper, but with a LinkedIn account. And then during the night, I run a board game company called Braincrack Games, and I fix up things and I design things and I generally nerd out. At the end of next week, I am actually quitting my marketing job and taking Braincrack full time. So, yes. We're with you. Today I'm going to talk to people in a very kind of Inception meta way. There's not going to be any rules. I'm not going to like lay down any laws or say like do this, don't do this, because you'll just argue. So it's more of like a thinking about marketing approach and like what do I, and then thinking out what's best for me. How do I make it happen? So what is marketing? Some might say it's a dirty word. Some might say you're like just shilling people crap and you're just trying to figure out ways to con people, and God knows I've worked on projects where I felt like that. It's a way to communicate. At the end of the day, companies are made up of lots of people, and it's quite hard for one person to be like, yes, don't worry, I got this. So marketing is kind of an approach to figuring out a coordinated way that you can talk to people in a way that everyone agrees is like safe and good and gives off the right message. And yeah, it's an important part because obviously it's what makes you money at the end of the day. But most of all, it's about talking to people, people talking to people, even if it's in a very big, scary, organised way. This is what you might be used to seeing in terms of marketing, lots of cheesy slogans, lots of dick measuring contests, especially in technology, like my CD is bigger than yours. And suffocating amounts of brand awareness. So like you might be thinking when you like start your company, you get your letter from the government that you're limited. Now you're like, right, how can I put my logo on everything and scare people to death with it? But the goal of all this isn't to have the biggest or best company or to be, you know, a household name by the end of the year. It's about making people feel emotions and connecting people in a way that's that ultimately makes them want to buy things. So you might be thinking, what kind of emotions do you want people to feel? Obviously it varies on the industry, but these are ones that I think are like really important to board games. So your familiarity, which is people are going to be unboxing stuff, sometimes spending a lot of money on a board game, and they want to think like, has this person, do they know what they're talking about? Am I just going to get to the box and think, what? Similarly, it's about trust. Knowing a designer or a certain brand is really important to this. It's about excitement. It's about buying a big box of toys. That's basically what this whole industry is. It's like a way to legitimize buying toys, basically. And involvement is about making people feel like they're not on the receiving end. Like we're not just churning things out and people are buying them. So the first one, familiarity. I don't know if you can really read it. I found an article that really resonates with something that I tell people a lot. And it says, while strong brands have always been great storytellers, those that are drawing on the real stories of the people they serve build an even stronger identity. So, and one thing I disagree with that is where it doesn't always have to be the people served. You might see a lot of adverts where it's like, you know, ordinary folk walk into a McDonald's and be like, yeah, I love McDonald's, I love the chicken nuggets. But it can be about the people who run the company as well. We work in an industry where a lot of people want to have a go. Everyone wants to design a board game, everyone's got an idea, everyone wants to make something a reality and like turn it into an actual thing that they can hold. And it's a very romantic idea, and we're very lucky to work in this industry. So to a certain extent, be the fantasy. tell people like, yeah, I'm super excited to launch this. I hope you guys like it. I hope it's cool. This is, when you feel emotions, tell people about them. You don't have to be cold-faced, professional all the time. Don't smother yourself in branding. It's good to have a company, and it's good to have a sense of familiarity so that people can pick up a box and be like, oh, I know this one. But at the end of the day, it's the people in a company that people really connect with. And it's not even this is something easy. If you're like a one-man operation, you can just like stick your face and your name on the campaign or on your website where people say, yeah, I bought from him. It gets a bit tricky when there's a group of you and you've all gone in on a project and like no one wants to step forward and be like, yeah, I think this should all be me. Yeah, I think we should, my name at the top, my face, and people should really connect with that. And I think I'm probably the best looking as well. That's a really difficult thing to do, but people do connect with it. And one thing I read on Jamie Stegmaier's blog is about how the reactions he got in messages and emails changed once he stopped using just Stonemaier branding and he put his name on it and his face on it. The amount of complaints just took a nosedive, and people were like, I'm talking to another person, so I should be kind of polite. And if just for that, it's worthwhile. And yeah, like I said, being a small business it gives you a big advantage in this respect. Whatever the industry, I don't know how many of you like coffee. I would wager that very few of you like coffee as much as I do. You go to a lot of independent shops and you see the same people the other day, and their heart is in what they do, and you have a lot of respect for that, and you just, it's got a magnetism to it, that passion, when it shines through. So trust. When you're trying to build trust with people, you need to think about how much you're doing with it, where you're taking that trust and what you're meant to be delivering. So it's a problem that a lot of bigger companies, they struggle with the idea of if they sell a particularly high-end product, they have to put a lot of their time and effort into marketing because they think, I'm asking people to spend £1,000, £2,000 on this. How on earth do I convince them that it's a good idea? But for small startups, I think the key is start small. Don't say this is my first game and it's a 200 quid miniatures war game and it's going to blow your mind because people might see like, I'm not sure that's worth the price. And at the same time, if you've got an established company and you're moving forward, it's important to not like rest on your laurels. Like know what you're capable of, but always think something could go wrong. And that approach, just that kind of earnestness when you're talking to customers, whether it's in customer service or whether you're talking to people at conventions, people like that kind of earnestness, and it also takes a lot of it makes people react a bit nicer when things do go wrong, because things go wrong. And if you say, I'm really, really sorry about this, and this is what I expect to happen, and I'm going to fix it, then they're totally cool with it. Like I said, people trust people. Be honest, be straightforward. There's no point in lying won't get you very far, because we're especially in an industry where people will do the research. It's not something people are taking up on the high street. It's something that people will look at reviews. They'll do a review. They'll do it. And if people find something that they find a fault or an exploit, they will gleefully rip into you. And the slightest thing where they think, you bend the truth a little bit there, they'll bring it up and they'll make your life hell. And similarly, know when to adjust your tone. It's all good being friendly and happy and your best friend. But when things go wrong, people don't want that. They want someone sincere and professional to talk to. So there is a time and place for time, obviously. Excitement is an easy one because most of we're geeks selling things to geeks. It's a big fun. There's lots of, especially on Kickstarter, there's like stretch goals and you get free stuff. I love backing something on day one and then you get an email every week for the rest of the month saying, hey, we added some stuff to that. No, there's very few industries where that actually happens, so it pays to make the most of that and kind of join in on the excitement with people. Even if you're not on Kickstarter and you don't have lots of lovely stretch goals, you can riff off the excitement that people have for other projects. Provoke conversation on social media, ask them like, what do you think of this? Don't be afraid to poke the wasp's nest. Even if it's like, you might think, oh, it's a bit of a negative conversation, oh, you want to be positive. If people are talking and they're, especially if they're using your like comment sections or your Twitter feed or anything, they're becoming familiar and they know that you're not. I personally have like a bit of a filter when I'm going through social media. I don't know how many of you have this, where you're very used to seeing adverts. It's wall-to-wall hero images and slogans, and it's tricky to get the tone right with while still seeming professional and not seeming like an advertisement, because people are just going to scroll straight past that. So something to think about. Debate also comes into involvement. I feel like this is a really bad place. Why? The power to influence things as well, even if it is just asking people for people's opinion. People love to give their opinion, even if it's an A/B choice. There's a group on Facebook called Art and Tabletop, Tabletop and Board Game Art and Design, or something similar to that. That's the one. People literally just post A and B, like pick a card, and you get 100, 200 comments of people just like, you don't even have to promise like, the winning vote will be in the game. People just like to give their opinion, they like to make their voice heard, and they like to feel like they're being listened to. And it's a really, really great way that you can raise awareness and talk to people about the game without seeming like an advertisement, without shouting at people and saying, this is the thing. You could do, what thing do you like? So the takeaways. Be yourself, even when you're lots of people. Is there anything Estevium in the room?
Second, I didn't hear.
Estevium. I was looking at Estevium as an example of this. They're obviously quite a large company, a lot of people working there. But you go on their Instagram feed and you can see people playing games, and you can see faces and names, and this is what we like this week. And it's just, yeah, it can seem tricky to put yourself forward as the face of something. But it's easier than it sounds. Easier than it sounds. Remember how lucky you are and brag about it. Even if you have a day job and you're just doing this part-time, it's still an amazing thing to work on and work for your passion, and people really feed off that, and you say like, I love doing this, and people say, yes, we like buying things. Stay humble, ask questions, ask people like, is this okay? Don't just have like internal debates, and don't like make statements, just kind of say, what do you think about this? Like, I'm not sure about this, can you let me know what you think? And I'll like have an educated opinion, and it helps everyone. It helps people know that you care, and it helps you do things that people like. And yeah, it's a way to get people involved. Any questions? Hello.
Hello. Do you think about how you're engaging with different bits of your audience? And just as an example, some of the politics blogs and things, I'm sure it happens other places too. The topic could be women in politics, and you look through the comments, and 99 of the comments are by men, and women seem not to want to engage with that kind of thing. So do you worry about it, and B, do you have strategies for engaging people who aren't?
Yeah, I do.
Put off by
I did. I was following a thread recently. I think it wasn't board games. It was about someone had asked a question about. He said specifically women. What do you think about this? It was about representation in one format or another. And there were loads of dudes commenting, and he had to keep clarifying, like, please, I don't care. Don't stop talking to me. And it's a tricky thing to do. And there are always more vocal people. Like, for anyone who's run a Kickstarter in this room will be able to name people who kept messaging them about like very vocal minority, and that's the same. You'll have that problem with any business. I think you'll have a vocal minority, and it asking people for arbitrary decisions, like the whole A/B thing, I found is a really great way to engage everyone. It's not a comment thing. You can use Google Forms, so it's like private. I asked people. I launched my game Downsize early this year, and on April Fool's, I launched a Trump card, and it had a picture of Donald Trump on it. It was a bit like a, playing on the the news, which is still currently news, sadly. And I kind of recognise, like, if I ask people to give their opinions and comments, I might get a bit of a shitstorm going. And I did have some messages from people who I was honestly glad to lose as backers. But the way I chose when I was put it in the game was I put out a form, and it was completely private. I think it was about 60–70% want to get in the game. And that was a really crucial part of engaging people and making them feel listened to, but also, yeah, kind of directing it and getting the right kind of response that you wanted and avoiding the PR political argument in your comment section. I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, just to use that one as an example, but it's about the vocal minorities and people.
Do you think it's the trust giving people thing is getting like harder or changing on Kickstarter? I feel like Kickstarter has sort of been an example of what happens when creatives have to be project managers.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think
whenever I now sort of back a project, I tend to sort of, when I'm sort of ready to hit that button, I sort of go through it with my filter of, do I think this person is actually sort of capable of handling this amount of money?
I think there are trust issues that come into Kickstarter because you're ostensibly giving some guy a big bucket of money and he's just promising you that something will happen, and there's no never any real assurance that is going to turn out the way you want. Of course, that's part of the risk. A really good point to make, Dan.
I'll come back to you. Just say some sense.
But yeah, I think people. It goes back to like, don't overstep your boundaries and know what you're capable of, and people trust people who are willing to make mistakes. I've seen campaigns. I think mine was one of them actually, where the creator said, "I've got everything sorted and everything's fine and it's going to go amazingly. It's my first project, but don't worry about that." And things went wrong. I think it's the way that you handle that is what builds the trust. I say to people like, "Hey, I fucked up. I miscalculated this," and the fact that I came out honestly and I didn't just have radio silence for a month was what helped build that. And I got a lot of people who said, something went wrong on Lewis's campaign, but he fixed it, and if he did another one, I'd back it. Like, people have explicitly said that, so I think that's
Speaking of that, having even working in disparate industries, 100% of the time, not knowing what's going on pisses people off far, far more than getting bad news.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, on Kickstarter, like, you can come up with an update and say, I think Peter had a similar thing on Molecular, where he said, "There's been a problem, would you mind waiting?" And people said, "Yeah, okay, do what you have to do." And I think people just admire that up front, even if it's not the news they want it to be.
That seems to be more focused on sort of what you do when the thing's actually sort of in production and you have to keep people informed. And I was more thinking about, do we now, like in comparison to a few years ago, have to be more explicit on this project page about, look, I've done these projects before, I think I can handle it, or do you think it's still safe to...
It speaks to two different kinds of backers. I know a lot of people who will never look at the page, they'll like maybe watch 10 seconds of the video and then back it. I've sent people links and then they've seen it and then a minute later they've backed it. A lot of people are really just kind of spree, and I know that people who are very much on the other end of the spectrum, very cautious, will never back a Kickstarter project. And that's a problem we have in the industry, where we need to kind of cut those people in. Something I think Stuart Garside does really well. He did Ember. He managed to fulfill his project in like 28 days after the campaign, I think, which is incredible. And then on this project, he was able to say, "I did that," and I think that's it's not going to harm anyone, is it? Having a track record. Yeah.
When you're getting people involved in the design process and you have to make a decision, sort of something that goes against like the crowd wisdom, how do you convey that to the people that you sought feedback from in the first place without causing resentment?
Yeah, I think never making promises is a good one to start with. Don't say, oh, we will take this and do what you want. Be honest. Say why you think. I had a similar thing where I made my first project colourblind friendly, and then someone noticed, could it be more colourblind friendly, because it's not an on-off thing, if you included something like the on the cards. And I drew up designs, and I looked into it, and I showed people that I was putting the thought into it, and I offered them the whole A/B decision. And at the end of the day, I said, no, I think it detracts too much from the design. And so they said, okay. Yeah. I was just like honest and making sure you're listening, not necessarily doing everything.
Just a bit of feedback and a question, I suppose. As a lot of people who be familiar with the UK Tabletop Jam, I really like the way you interact with groups with the A/B decisions and process designs and that. So that's really good, and it is really engaging. It does really help everybody's.
Doesn't take much time either.
Interact doesn't take much time, no. But do you ever struggle with is this worth posting? Do I need a decision on this? If I spend another 10 minutes, I can probably make a decision, or do you just go for it?
I have been guilty of posting some things where I've kind of already made a decision myself, where it may have taken a while for me to come to that conclusion, but I'm thinking I'm probably going to choose this one. Just my own personal opinion. It's what you'll always want to follow.
Sometimes you get back as well.
Yeah, sometimes you just want a bit of confidence going forward. It's not necessarily doing that. But yeah, I think it's totally fair to just involve people just for the sake of it sometimes, and just to say, hey, what do you think? Just show that we're doing things as well.
I'm just curious if you have any experience, or what your experience has been of using paid social media ads, if at all.
Have used them, yeah. They used to be, the system that Facebook uses, it used to be a lot more powerful, I think. And there are still white hats who will help you make the most of it, and a lot of complicated software you can use to make the most of it. Not something I've put a lot of thought or time into. I was going to say at the beginning of the presentation, don't look at downsides as an example of good media, of good marketing, because I normally get home from work and it's the last thing I want to do. It's worth it if you've got the money to plough into it. But personally, I think having a really strong campaign and making the most of Kickstarter's built-in audience, they've got millions of people who look at that website. You don't need to bring in people, you don't need to focus on inbound that much, as much as people do anyway.
I was just going to answer the previous questions. You could always, even if you don't want to do what the audience wants you to do, you could find another way to incorporate it. So if you're asking people to pick between two art images, and then you decide to go with one because it fits your vision, maybe you can include the one that was popular as a postcard in the game.
You always run the risk of pissing off the 40%. You don't want to ask people for their opinion and then snub all the people who didn't agree with you. I think it really putting the thought into how can I put this in somewhere? Can I give a consolation prize or something?
An acknowledgement of it.
Acknowledge the vote and make it public and say it was very close, but people won. Not being running a fair competition, I suppose.
What would you tell your past self before running the first campaign?
Get a month's sleep in the bank.
Probably do some marketing for it. Probably because, it was a successful campaign, don't get me wrong, but ever since people have said, what did you do for this? It went really well. What was it? Show us your working. Surely you must have done a really great job at marketing. The answer is always no. It's a fluke. Let's stop asking me. I think obviously there's some industry insights I would have passed backwards. Without going into boring detail.
Results. Maybe if you are able to telecommunicate to your past self, just do a biff And gets lots of money, so you can.
Yeah. It's probably, you know,
That way.
tell them to.
Send the money from the campaign back to the beginning.
Yeah. Tell them to like back it 100 to 1
Yeah.
or something.
Just a point and a question. As a backer, one of the things that did attract me to Downsides, I like the clean and fair and semi-abstract illustration and the art design, which actually I thought, and I got a bounce on there from Peter's project, which I also really like the clean kind of, not overly realistic, should I say, artist design. And going back to the comment about what a hero shop might be or something else like that, I'm sure you've reflected on it. Are you pleased with the very simple graphic design, and would you say that made it that was an essential part of your success, or do you think you could have had the same success with a completely different set of art?
It's a good question. I had a lot of. I think I had there was a proportion of my backers who weren't gamers. There were people who were just design fanatics. They liked the colours. They just liked the way it looks, and I think that was a big boon. Obviously, it's not something you can replicate. I don't think that it's a fair bit of advice to say make sure your game looks good, because this is not my place to say that. But yeah, I think it was important. I think getting feedback on a hero image, choosing which one to use is super important as well, because it's one of the first things people look at, the first thing people decide whether or not to click on it. You know, it's a little tiny window on Kickstarter that you get for such a huge audience, and yeah, it could be more important. It's the first thing that people see.
But anyway, it felt from the beginning when I looked at it as quite an underplayed and understated pitch, and it wasn't somebody saying, here's this intensely, look all the way into this image, watch this long video. It was always very clean. And maybe that's against the trend of a lot of board game design at the moment, where we really relish the art and spend a lot of time enjoying it. And even maybe back to what you said about some of the A/B decisions part. Do you think people's tendency within board games specifically is more towards a rich art design, and were you choosing to bucket?
I wasn't choosing to bucket. It was mostly because I couldn't afford an artist. So I did it myself with bits that I found from all over the internet. I kind of pulled stuff together. I took an almost unfair amount of inspiration from a game called Train Yard.
Was it Rail Yard?
Who have similar kind of black and bottom colour on top, really bold art design, and I saw that and I was like, I'm going to steal that idea. But yeah, it did stand out, but at the same time I think there is a proportion of people who see a project's value in its art and the richness and the detail of that, and I think it's a smart investment most of the time, making sure that it's something pretty.
I don't think you can overstate the importance of art for a board game Kickstarter project. If you're looking to fund.
But it's also a valuable way in which you can undercut it and stand out in a sea of, like
Yeah, I mean,
blood, spat, and
on-time
loss.
graphic design. Yeah. The visual aspect of your project.
You said that your project was a fluke, so I started from London Board Games. We're kickstarting on Tuesday. What did you do for the first 48 hours? Every first 48 hours. I mean, I'm at a conference in Rome, so Mark is going to be where you were on Tuesday. So apart from phoning your mum and say please send £1,000.
Yeah. That was one thing.
Well, you said it was a fluke. I don't necessarily. I mean, somebody could analyse it, but could you expand on on what you did and who you had around you and?
Part of the reason I hadn't put a lot of work into the pre-campaign marketing, and I hadn't done a single press release before I launched it. It was something I was planning to do, and I was sat at the kitchen table. I was putting it together and I was sweating, and I was reading Jamie Stegmeyer's blog. I don't know if you've seen this, but he has a list of 100 blog pieces. You're like, read all of these before you launch. And I was like, no! Looking back, but at the time I was like, this is the gospel and I need to read all of it. And then Emily, my partner, said, just do it. Just do it. She was like, I think just tired of me like sweating every day. Like, just and then, so the first 48 hours, I then tried to salvage, I thought I'd made a huge mistake. I tried to salvage a kind of PR attempt. I emailed a few people, The result of which was one video review from a guy in Greece, one in Bulgarian that turned up 4 months after the campaign, yeah, one in Spanish that I didn't ask for. And I don't speak Spanish, but I don't think they liked it. It's a hard journey, like putting stuff into Google Translate and reading through it and be like, oh, okay. But yeah, I did make an attempt to launch it. I shared it on Facebook. One thing like I can resonate with Nathan about is not badgering people to share it, just kind of saying, I'm doing this, I'm super terrified, please help. People resonate with that, and they're like, alright, I'll give this a look.
You mentioned hero image quite a bit. What do you think makes a really strong hero image?
Showing the best of your game. Showing something that works in the space is not something a lot of people think about. I use Kickstarter mostly on my phone, and you have maybe 1 inch by 1/2 inch. So beautifully detailed, intricate art is just lost. Yeah, it needs to be something kind of bold art, preferably. Usually when it's a picture of all the game laid out, again at that size, can't really see much of it. Some campaigns, the appeal is the amount of stuff, the miniatures, the plastics, the stuff that people are like, okay, that looks like something I want to buy, I want to geek out on that. EU friendly, Australia friendly, Canada friendly. That's something I didn't do that I should have, because then I just had loads of people messaging me saying, is this friendly? So I should have done that from the start. Possibly I see a lot of people doing putting age ratings, numbers of players and time. That's something a lot of people again were like just asking about, and they were saying, is this something I can play with my daughter? Is this something I can play in half an hour on the train? Etc. So making again with the tagline, tell people what the game is. People want to know whether it's like I said, 200 quid war game or whether it's a pocket game. If you've got a particularly appealing price point, put that on there, because people will just spur back it. They will just shove some money on that, like back that horse, see what happens. So yeah, there's a lot. Just pick your strengths.